Hey YouTube, what's going on? Number 1205 here with what will be the inaugural video of, I guess this will be a channel. So the goal here is that I picked up a new ride and I'm looking to do some modifications to it, and I wanted to document it for my own purposes and potentially create a referenceable resource for some other folks that might be looking to do something similar. So let me introduce you to the project car, the project, and kind of bring you up to speed on where I'm at so far. All right, guys, project car, 2020 Camaro SS convertible with the 2SS package. Obviously, Summit White here, adrenaline right in there. The vehicle does not have NPP exhaust. It does have mag ride. It does have navigation. That's pretty much the extent of the options. 6-speed, so I don't even have the automatic, right? So it's pretty bare bones, not a lot to it. And as you can see, stock front end. What I'm looking to do is to put a ZL1 style splitter on here, and I've picked one up from Extreme Online Store. I've already taken all of the bolts out. I'll show you that in a minute. From the front bumper. And I've even slid this into place to test fit to see how it's going to line up with everything, and seems like it should be pretty good. And then I actually went ahead and I took the next step. Got my bucket out, washed everything down on the front here really well with some Dawn, a little bit of warm water and Dawn, right? So the car's brand new, has been on the road only a handful of miles, and in fact, if you look at the odometer right now, I think it says 11. And I think I put 2 of those miles on here in my driveway, just moving the car around, trying to get in and out of my garage, do different things. So the car is literally brand new, has absolutely no road muck on it of any sort. So this is about as pristine of a starting point as anybody could get. But I still went ahead, I washed it up, rinsed it, I've wiped it down to mostly dry it off, because that 3M tape here, right? You see this red outline. That 3M tape that is pre-installed by Extreme Online Store is a big part of the adhesion process to install this thing. And it's real important that we've got a nice clean wax/polish free surface to work with so that it adheres really well. The underside has a bunch of bolts. If we take a look at their directions, kind of points these things out. So if you kind of count your way along here, there are a total of 12 bolts that have to come out of the front bumper, and as you can see here by kind of looking across this little line of things, I've already taken those out. Pretty simple to do. 7mm socket. The extension I used to get easily up in behind the side air dams. And these you only have to take the 2 outer screws off so that you can get this part to pull down, and the splitter installs up in between the air dam and the body structure above it. The rest of it are all pretty accessible without using that, without the extension, but do it any way you're comfortable with. So with that said, I've got the front end washed down. It's mostly been dried. I'm going to go ahead and take my microfiber towel and I'm going to go across it again, make sure that it is really dry, because we don't want any moisture in there. And I'm going to go ahead and get this lip up in position. The instructions tell you that you should do this as a 2-person job, and I am going to be undertaking this as a 1-person job, because I've got a pretty good idea of how I can get this thing up there without running into problems. So the goal here is I'm going to get everything slid into place. I'm going to put some of the screws in that are going to hold this thing in place, and once I have it kind of close, I'm going to go ahead and peel back the adhesive coating, right? That plastic that you see, the red plastic on the tape there, so that I can actually get this pressed into place, and then I can tighten those bolts up the rest of the way. In terms of getting under the car, just so that you guys can kind of see what I did, I've got some 2x10s, and what I did is I took a 18-inch long section and I set it behind the front wheels. So I backed the car into the garage, set that behind the front wheels, and then I backed the car up onto that single layer piece of 2x10. I trailered this car home, so I had these pieces of wood put together to use on the trailer, but once I had the car backed onto that single layer, I took these stacked pieces that I have, which are screwed together with some 3-inch deck screws at a big angle here, but I put these in front of those blocks of wood and then drove the car forward. So ultimately what I did is, off of the ground, I gained myself somewhere around 3 additional inches of clearance. And then because there's a slight slope to the driveway, I've got probably, an extra 4 inches of clearance to work with here. And it might not sound like a lot, but for this job, that's quite a bit of room. So, I'm going to hopefully be able to take good advantage of that extra space. Just as an aside, one of the reasons that I put these blocks in the way that I did is because coming back off of this, I want to make sure that I'm not going to put myself in a position to potentially grab the wood blocks here with the lip itself. So I will exactly reverse the process where I'll back the car up until I'm on the single layer, I'll remove the stacked layer, and then I can drive back forward to be back on the ground. And in doing it that way, I should have absolutely no issue whatsoever with being able to clear everything without anything interfering with the lip. So I'm going to go ahead and switch the camera position around here, give myself a little bit of something to lay down on here to work to get this lip in place, and I'm going to get started. Okay, so far I have the splitter set in place. I have taken, of the 12 screws that came out, I've put 8 of them back in. So there's 4 down each side. I didn't do the last 2 on each side that are the ones that hold the air dam. All that I did was gave them roughly half to 3/4 of a turn, just enough to catch the threads so that I can get everything in place and make sure that the fitment looks really good. Once I've verified all of this, I'm going to go back onto the car, and as backwards as it might sound, I'm going to remove the rest of the bolts that hold the side air dams and get those completely out of the way, because that'll give me the opportunity to actually, properly position the splitter exactly where it should go, and then I'll come back and I'll put all those bolts back in later and tighten everything up nice and snug. So, change of plans. I'm actually not going to remove the rest of the bolts from the air dams, as I don't need to. There's a total of 5 bolts that holds each one of these side air dams on. I've already taken 2 out, so there's 3 left. I'm going to pull the one from the middle down a little bit, which will give me a little bit more slack. And that's actually going to work out just as well as if I took them off completely. So all that I'm doing is going in and grabbing basically what would be the next one in line. Loosening it up a little bit. I got plenty of slack space now. And I'm good to go. I'm looking through, and in this area here, fitment is really good. It's up snug against the body panel. I guess I didn't turn that one as far as I thought. It's up really snug against the body panel, up against the bumper. It fits pretty good on the side, but there are definitely some gaps up here. It's not terribly concerning because, number one, this is kind of hanging down, and as this comes up, it tightens right up. That gap closes up quite a bit. So what will actually happen here is that when I go ahead and peel the protectant off of the adhesive, it'll actually give me an opportunity to bring this up, stick the two together, and that gap will close right up, right? So that's why that tape is here. And then I will also make sure that I pull down on the plastic a bit as well, which will also bring it forward, and again, it'll press it together. So at this point, this is looking really good. And the worst case scenario is if I end up somehow screwing up the tape, I actually have more of this tape. I could completely redo it and start all over again. So what I'm doing is using a snap-off blade that goes in one of those small pen X-Acto knives. I have the piece of tape that runs this way, and I have the piece of tape that runs this way. And I'm using this edge to get in there and start to peel that adhesive backing off. And once I have the top peeled with it sticking up a little bit, then I can get the side piece, get that off in its entirety, and then I can kind of pull the whole thing back and seat it. And then from there I'll be able to work my way around to get the rest of it put in place. Well, there you have it, YouTube. Total install time from basically the point where I started to open up the box until I was completely done. Actual effort time, 60 to 75 minutes. Did it by myself. The nice part for me is that this card, as I mentioned, does not have NPP. So when you look at the rear diffuser with the dual tip, this is basically a matte black finish. This is the same type of finish that I think probably the bulk of the different ground effects kits out there will come molded in. So this can be sanded. You can put an adhesion promoter on there. You can prime it. You can have it painted. You could go body color. You could go gloss black. You could do whatever the heck you want. I opted to leave it alone and do absolutely nothing to it because, as I mentioned, with the stock diffuser that's back there, it's gonna line up nicely in terms of the color. And then I've got the rockers coming as well, the side skirts for the rockers. So those are also from EOS, and I'll get a consistent look in terms of the ground effect color all the way around the car when it's done. But for now, I've got that matte black finish ABS on the back, matte black finish ABS on the front, and it has already given the car an upgrade in its appearance as far as I'm concerned. I think it looks great on the white. It's something that stands out on the white, so you can really see it, and I really like the way that it looks. Fit and finish here is I would say pretty good. It's not perfect. It's not an OEM part, but it's really good. I mean, if you take a look through, you'll see that there is a little bit of a gap right there where the tape hasn't adhered, at least not yet. But the rest of it is closed up really, really nicely. And what I'm going to potentially do is see what I can put in behind the plastic of the bumper cover and actually press that out so that it adheres more tightly to the tape. And then as time wears on, that adhesion will just solidify and remain nice and tight. So I would say overall, ease of installation on this, I would say, on a scale of 1 to 5, I'd give it probably a 2 in the difficulty rating. Right, it's on the easier side. I would rate the build quality of the splitter itself probably a 4 out of 5, because again, it's not OEM, but it is pretty good. The one thing that I have no intention of doing is leveraging these additional holes, and I'm not sure if you can actually see them. There are additional holes that are drilled through at an angle right up near the front edge, and those are specifically for you to be able to drill through into the bumper itself and rivet that piece in place. As long as this tape holds the way that it should, there should be absolutely no reason to put those rivets in there. So this is a no drill installation. So on that level, I would say it gets a 5. Because you don't have to make any alterations to the car itself. I can completely take this thing off, send it back, throw it in the trash, give it away, whatever I want to do. You would never know it was on here because it did not do anything to the car itself. A lot of different things out there require you to make specific modifications to the car, drill, things like that. That's why there's no front license plate bracket on here right now. I'm not drilling through the bumper of a $50,000 car to put a tag on here. So anyway, product quality, build quality 4 out of 5. The ease of installation, the difficulty of installation, I'd say it's a 2. You can definitely do it by yourself. It's just a little bit trickier. Having a second set of hands certainly wouldn't hurt, but it is not necessary. And then in terms of just kind of the overall project, I'd say 4 out of 5. You can definitely go a lot further here. You can sand it, you can paint it, you can do a bunch of different stuff, but that's all entirely up to you. Until next time, this is Ember 1205 out.